You know, there's a lot that's still yet to happen with this system over land, both wind and water, for days to come.
Yeah, I mean, when you think of the life cycle here, we're in you know, day 2 of this really, and we have about 5 days, if you will, total out of it. So you're right, we're not even halfway there yet, Dr. Nab, which is kind of interesting to talk about. And speaking of Dr. Nab, he will have a update on the tropics coming up at 50 past the hour. There's a lot going on. We are in a very active period in the Atlantic Basin. Things are cranked up right now. And so there's a lot to talk about. What's happening with Florence? What's going on with 92L? Is there another wave behind that? What's some of the new data coming in, you know, from the European, from the UK Met, the Canadian? What are all these different models showing us as to what those systems are going to do? We're going to get to that at about 50 past the hour. But let's get down to Dauphin Island. Mike Seidel dealing with, again, the wind. And this time it's not the wind-driven rain. Mike Seidel is the wind-driven sand.
Yeah, Jim, exactly. The sand has been blowing at us and hammering us now for about 45 minutes. It all changed when the wind direction changed. For 3 hours or so, we were just lambasted by the heavy rain like you saw over there in Pascagoula, Jim, with an east-northeast wind from that direction. That's blowing offshore, not picking up much sand because it's coming from Bienville Boulevard and the streets and the neighborhoods. Now the wind is coming in from the southeast, and at this moment, it's backed off a little bit. But we've peaked out at 69 miles an hour, and the last dial from the Seaman station at the end of the island was 50 gusts to 64. So the strongest winds were not when we had the squalls and the inner eye wall and the heavy rainfall. The strongest winds have been now that the storm has moved off toward north and west, and we're getting on the backside, the eastern side, and we're getting the wind from the south. So that's going to push the water up here. This is a huge beach. Boy, this is a great beach. It's about 200 yards from the condos out to the water, and there's undulating dunes and seagrass and all kinds of vegetation, which is great because where I grew up on the East Coast, the Maryland-Delaware coast, many areas you've got one dune, maybe two, and then you're right into the water. So you don't have much of a protective barrier, but you've got a huge protective barrier here, and we're not expecting to have the kind of sand deposits we had with Nathan, which was a Cat 1 hurricane, October 7th and 8th last year. The west end of the island, which is very narrow, which actually had a channel cut through with Katrina. Katrina leveled this island. They had up to 8 feet of sand in some of the areas up there, and they had to bulldoze it out, and it took several days. So we're not expecting that kind of surge and that kind of issue with the sand, but it's definitely going to be on that end and not down here where it's much wider as far as the beach goes. So Jim, right now the power is still out. As you mentioned, the numbers keep adding up. Florida Panhandle, southern Mississippi, southern Alabama, and I expect those numbers will continue to rise overnight as the core of the wind goes inland, and that combined with heavy rain leads to trees coming down in areas where there are a lot more trees than where I'm standing out here on Dauphin Island. Jim?
Yeah, so Mike, just in case everybody's joining us now, because a lot of people coming in and coming out, we're north of 12,000 in Florida. We're north of 22,000 in Alabama. Okay, a lot of those in Baldwin County, obviously. And of course, we are now starting to get power outages out of Mississippi as well. We are north of 1,700 customers in that state. Again, our rain continues to taper off, but it's still, I mean, believe me, it's still raining in through here, but nothing like what we had. Our max gust at Pascagoula, 56 miles per hour. The buoy off the coastline about 10 miles to my south, 61 miles an hour, and we've had over 2¼ inches of rain here in Pascagoula. And a big shout out to my good buddy Rob Macedo, who is a Skywarn spotter for the National Weather Service in Taunton. He's been feeding me this all day. Sarah Dillingham, Catherine Prost back at the Weather Channel. You know, you see us standing out through here, folks, but you don't realize so much stuff is going on behind the scenes. So many, you know, great meteorologists gathering data and feeding it to us to just keep the machine moving. And that's how we continue to really give you real-time updates in terms of this. And, of course, Dr. Nab's expert opinion on where he thinks this was going and making landfall probably about 7 or 8 hours before it actually came ashore, which was absolutely brilliant. All right, much more to come here on Gordon. Much, much more to come in terms of the impacts. We're not done.
So I needed legal advice. And I heard that my cousin's wife's sister's husband was a lawyer, so I called him. but he never called me back.
If your cousin's wife's sister's husband isn't a lawyer, call LegalZoom and we'll connect you with an attorney. LegalZoom, where life meets legal.
Okay, everyone. Our mission is to provide complete balanced nutrition for strength and energy.
Great tasting Ensure with 9 grams of protein and 26 vitamins and minerals. Ensure, now up to 30 grams of protein for strength and energy.
You wouldn't accept an incomplete job from anyone else. Why accept it from your allergy pills? Flonase Sensimist relieves your worst symptoms, including nasal congestion, which most pills don't. It helps block 6 key inflammatory substances. Most pills block 1. Flonase Sensimist.
Well, it finally happened, Zachary. Somebody burned down my she shed.
Nobody burned down your she shed, Cheryl.
Well, my she shed's on fire.
Your she shed was struck by lightning.
Zachary, is my she shed covered by State Farm?
Your she shed's covered, Cheryl.
You hear that, Victor? I'm getting a new she shed.
She shear?
Mm-hmm.
That's wonderful news.
Go with the one that's here to help life go right. State Farm.
Raindrops on roses and whiskers on kittens, bright copper kettles and warm woolen mittens, brown paper packages tied up with strings. These are a few of my favorite things.
New Olay Foaming Whip Body Wash. Luxe Lather with a weightless feel. Transforms skin from dull to dreamy. New Olay Foaming Whip Body Wash.
At the dinner table, nobody talks about football. I like to teach them there's more important things in life. My name is Ted Ginn. I eat Stouffer's lasagna, and I hunger to coach athletes into men. Stouffer's, what are you hungry for?
Bear presents Ordinary versus Overachiever. Bear Premium Plus. Bear through it all with a top-rated paint at a great price. Right now, get incredible savings on Bear, exclusively at the Home Depot.
At touchofmodern.com, things you'd never think possible are totally attainable. The shoes are handmade, the furniture glows, the drones fly themselves. And that's just the beginning. Our relentless pursuit of the highest quality in watches, fashion, tech, and home are available all in one place. touchofmodern.com. We bring something new and unexpected to your life every day. So go to touchofmodern.com and be the first to discover all the novel and noteworthy items the world has to offer.
My prescriptions used to be really expensive, but then I went to GoodRx.com.
It just works. You put in the drug you're looking for, and bang, you've got half a dozen or more choices in front of you of pricing and locations to get it.
You never think about shopping around for medication prices.
I have good insurance, but with GoodRx, I save even more money.
What? I was paying how much?
And it's absolutely free. No cost to me whatsoever.
I get to save $1,180 a year with GoodRx. This is awesome.
Go to GoodRx.com and check it out.
The only Emmy-nominated weather network on cable.
When this much rain falls, it is a life-threatening situation.
Is the most essential coverage on TV.
A tropical storm warning is in effect. Currently in our area, 74 degrees under cloudy skies. Tonight, periods of heavy rain and windy, low 70. Wednesday, showers and thunderstorms, high 82. Chance of rain, 80%. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Our continuing coverage of Gordon making landfall officially from the Hurricane Center, 10:15 Central Time, east of Pascagoula in Mississippi. So we've watched our friends in Dauphin Island go from an east-northeast wind to now a southerly wind and we've got all sorts of sand blowing around down through there. We've had flood warnings out. We've got power outages now across Florida, Mississippi, and also Alabama. Alabama, the big one, with 22,000 north now in terms of the customers without power. But ladies and gentlemen, this is just the beginning of what looks to be a very busy period for the Atlantic hurricane season. Let's get an update on what is to follow, Gordon, and we will not be done with that, by the way, after tonight. Dr. Rick Knabb, take us away on a very busy time in the tropics.
Yeah, wow. September is going to keep us very, very busy in many parts of the Atlantic basin, and that's a very big change from August, but past years where we've had no hurricanes in August have been very busy after that, and that looks to be the case in the Atlantic. But we'll zoom across everything that's going on in the Pacific and the Atlantic very quickly because the U.S. interests are all over the place, and of course our international friends concerned about these things as well. Very quickly, look at Norman is going to miss Hawaii, going to turn to the east east and north before too much longer and miss Hawaii. Likewise, Olivia probably going to miss Hawaii, but there's Hawaii right there, and there it is next week. We'll just have to watch that one closely. So the beat goes on in the Pacific. So Hawaii, your hurricane season isn't over yet. Now let's go to the East Atlantic. Florence is a hurricane with winds of 100 miles an hour, Category 2. Here's the Cabo Verde Islands, so it's out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Next 5 days, it's not going to be directly affecting land. But watch this track, how it goes in the general direction of Bermuda and is very, very slow. So there's still a lot that can happen after that. Can we say that it's going to turn before Bermuda? No, can't say that with 100% confidence. Can we say we know this is not going to hit the U.S.? Nope, can't say that either. Let me show you the models in just a little bit. Behind that is Invest 92L, just south of the Cabo Verde Islands. It's the next tropical wave that has left Africa behind Florence. 5-day development area going west-northwestward. This has a 90% chance of forming. So watch what the model does. Here's the European model as an example. There are many other solutions out there, but here's Florence, here's 92L, and watch what happens between now and Sunday. There's Florence getting out there close to Bermuda. There's 92L, and there's the next wave behind that. The model suggests that develops. Here comes another wave off of Africa late next week. The train is on the tracks, Jim. This is not necessarily correct on exactly when and where there are going to be active tropical cyclones, but it is an indication that the atmosphere is ripe. The ocean is going to be fueling these things, and we are going to have to watch each and every one of these closely because I can't guarantee that any of these are going to miss land completely.
Absolutely not. And that's the whole point right there. Every day we will be watching these, and there'll be changes, there'll be new information. Thank you, Dr. Knabb. I wanted to make sure everybody had a pretty good idea of what has really ramped up here, certainly since August. Getting into September, it has been very